I was gonna wait until I actually had more equipment to do this, but I saw a movie the other day that it just infuriated me. It just made me mad to my core, and I just wanted to talk about it. I had to talk. I was like Mount Vesuvius, and the pressure just built up until it just. So here I am. So Terminator Dark Fate. Terminator Dark Fate is the new sequel to Terminator, negating every other sequel, getting rid of Terminator 3, 4, 6, whatever, 5. This is the 6th, whatever. And they're probably also getting rid of the TV show, which I haven't seen, but whatever. So this is now the official sequel to Terminator 2. Terminator 2 now has no other sequels. It just has this one. So okay, whatever. So how good is it? Not very good. I don't like it. I actually think it's boring. Boring in the sense that the characters are kind of screwed with, are kind of. So I'm also going to get into a few minor details here of a few things that just annoyed the shit out of me in this movie. So if you don't want to have this movie spoiled for you, you should probably bounce, or you can stick around. I mean, I don't care. So the opening scroll, the opening thing of this scene, the opening scene of this movie. This movie. Okay, so the last two movies, whatever, the last two movies are both like they're both the story of Linda Hamilton's character. They're both Sarah Connor's story, true, but they're also introducing another character, which is called John Connor, who is the arguably the main character of the entire trilogy, and in the opening scene, they fucking kill him straight open. They're just like, what, John Connor? We don't need him. Hasta la vista, baby. And goodbye, sequel. I mean, this opening scene it was such a high point. Like, it had such a high point. Like, it opened with the moment from the last movie where Sarah Connor is just talking to Dr. Silverman, and she's just like, you fly apart like leaves. And it opens with more like the past being erased. Like, this shit never happened anymore. That past gone. We saved like 7 billion lives or 3 billion lives or however much it was, and now there's another problem that we have to face. Oh, and by the way, apparently Skynet sent like a fuck ton of Terminators back to multiple timelines, to multiple sections of time where one of them that looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger just randomly turned up and just blasted John Connor away. Okay. The point I'm trying to make right now is the fact that the last movie had John Connor as the kid, as the one that had to be saved. We had to find a way to save him, to keep him going for the next movie. And he's just not in this movie. He just gets wasted like some punk. You remember Newt from Aliens? Yeah, the same treatment. Yeah. In Alien 3, opening crawl, gone. And it was just such an infuriating part of this movie. Like, it just that part was never ever justified. Like, it happened. And there was never a real reason for it to happen, other than the fact that I guess Tim Miller, the director of this movie, just couldn't find a way to bring John Connor into the story, even though he totally could have. Like, the new character in this movie, Danny, I believe her name is the new John Connor, as it's said later on in the movie. Like, Sarah Connor even has this really weird line where she's like, "Oh, she's John, she's the new John," and it's like, that could have been great. Like, you could have had that really cool dynamic where John Connor now meets this woman who is effectively him in another timeline. Is effectively him, and they could have had that. They could have had those two go back and forth. Like, your life is pretty much fucked now. Like, I had to deal with this shit all my life. I had to learn about Terminators. I had to learn about all of that, and then in the entire thing, I never really had a childhood until I was told that my mother was just some crazy nutbag from another whatever. it could have been so great. It could have been. It could have been like that could have been just the moment where John Connor's character had the biggest relevance in the movie, and just, like it could have been. It could have been. Ah. Also, another character that in this movie is just kind of wasted was Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. I mean, I mean, I like the concept of his character. His character's concept is actually a really good concept. Like the fact that an artificial intelligence now finishes his mission and now has nothing else to do. So what does he do? Like what else would he do? Would he just go on his like I would imagine that he would just go on his primal his basic instructions, which is wipe out the world. So just like okay, or he could be the reason why Legion is now made. Would have probably made more sense than him just settling down and starting a family, which is what he did. He settled down and started a family. What? Like what? Like this Terminator, this thing in the first movie was such a scary thing. It was like the thing that like people from whenever the movie came out. I think it was 1985. I could be wrong about that. When it first came out, like that thing was the scariest thing that people would think about, apart from like the xenomorph from Aliens. Like everybody would think about it. Everybody would just be like, that thing is just fucking scary, but it's fucking cool. And in this movie, it's just treated like some sort of joke. It's just like well, this will be hard to explain to the wife. I just don't like this movie. This movie just didn't. It didn't do any of the characters justice. I mean, I did like Linda Hamilton's character in parts. I like the new characters in essence. I mean, I like the character Grace, who's like some sort of weird crossbreed, whatever. Augmented is the word. Jesus Christ. And also the action sequences. The action sequences are extremely exciting. Like I would be denying that, but they're also just completely insane. Is the word like you think of the last two? You think of the last two movies where like think of just one chase sequence where it's just like in the first one, the chase sequence where Arnold Schwarzenegger is in the police car and they're in another car and he's just shooting them down and he's wasting them. That was exciting, but it was real. It was gritty. It was grounded in realism. The second movie, even though they were going up against a Terminator that could literally bend his body into like knives and stabbing weapons, he was still scary, but he was also a character that was still real in what he did. Like he would whack his head into a helicopter and just form himself into the seat, which was really cool. But this movie just like it ignores the fact that the last two were real in the sense that it had elements that it was just real, and the action sequences were still as real as they could be for a Terminator movie, and they just went on with their lives and they just carried on being real. But this movie just throws that out the window and it's just like, what you think, like you like all the action sequences? Well, here's a plane dropping from a fucking sky and watching everybody just miss it narrowly, or while they're in the cockpit, while it's sort of weightless, while all the pressure is just sort of whatever and they're weightless. Let's just have Arnold Schwarzenegger banging and crashing like throughout the thing. And then there's also a part where they're on a fucking waterfall in a Humvee, and the thing just it goes down the waterfall. It's like they would be dead. They would be dead. phone call. That's why you turn your phone off before a review. But yeah, that would be dead. They would be dead. That would also be a part where I would edit it out, but I don't have editing software, so I can't really do that. Anyway, I just this movie, it could have been so great. It never found where it should be. The last two movies were as real as they could be, and every other movie would just be would just. I prefer Terminator 3. If I'm going to go with a sequel, I would watch Terminator 3. I wouldn't watch this one again. I mean, I probably will watch this again just for the heck of it, but I wouldn't watch it again. I've also come up with a rating system, and I'll probably explain it at some point. But I'm going to go with my rating of this movie, which is I wouldn't watch this movie with any of my attention. No, I would watch this movie with only some of my attention. I'll rough them out properly later on, but anyway, if you've seen this movie, if you had fun with this movie, I'm glad you had fun. I personally couldn't because it just betrayed some of the characters that I loved, and it just didn't do any of the new characters. It did do the new characters justice. I do like the new characters. I like where they were or how they came to be. I just didn't think that they had enough time to fully develop their characters as well as they could have. Also, the new Terminator in this one, like the new Terminator, which we've kind of seen before, but it is actually pretty cool. So, anyway,